Welcome to this lesson as we continue along the journey in this course. We're still in the introductory chapter. Today we're going to be looking at the lesson Smartsheet Intro, understanding the tool, what it does, what to expect from this course. And the course is dubbed the Zero to Hero, ZTH or ZTH, depending on how you pronounce it. And I want to make sure we are understanding the goals of this particular lesson is to give you a high level systematic review of an awesome tool, Smartsheet. The course mission is here for you to review this posted. Objectives for this particular course, and I want to start with this so you understand the 5 specific objectives. Participants should be able to build their first solution and start using it for a specific task. That's the first one. I want everybody to be able to build their own dashboard, to visualize project data, to maintain dashboard, to utilize the dashboard for communicating information in a more organized and structured fashion. Automate a workflow. Participants will design and implement an automated workflow to streamline a repetitive process. Collaborate effectively. We are going to walk through how to collaborate around assets in Smartsheet workspace, and sharing information and pushing information to even non-Smartsheet users, which is a superpower that Smartsheet has, and it allows you control of said information so that version control becomes an easier thing to manage. The last objective is the course wants you to become an independent person who can grow in Smartsheet. You're going to be walk through how to understand and lean on, learn from, and modify templates to create solutions for your day-to-day challenges. And this can be achieved by understanding how to break down the challenges into steps and how to build solutions from the various building blocks. We're going to talk more about building blocks. And again, this is all for your specific project. The biggest plus with this tool, which is encapsulated in all of these 5 solutions, is its ability to fit your needs. You're not getting something that is pre-packaged because somebody sat and figured out what your needs are when you yourself don't even know what those needs are. That's one of the powers of Smartsheet. So let's continue. Smartsheet at its highest level is a cloud-based platform, not created by me, even though I speak as if I did. The requirements are listed, and there's a video from the creators of Smartsheet on what the tool is that is attached to this lesson that I want you to take some time to consume. But the essential things we need to remember is that it's cloud-based. It manages projects, it automates workflow, it can be used to manage information, share information, and you're doing that without coding. It's click and drag and type for descriptions and adding content as you would in spreadsheets, right? It helps organizations align with business goals, act agile, and transform their operation. And as I said, the system requirements are outlined, but they are pretty much, if you can be on the web browsing a typical website, then you are going to be comfortable with utilizing Smartsheet. That's the system requirements. If we were to move on to why we use Smartsheet, we use it because it's agile and scalable in the modern workplace. And these 2 terminologies are super important to understand so that you invest the time in getting through the learning curve. The ability for it to adjust to whatever comes up in terms of scale, in terms of whether it's big or small or medium size. If the needs change, you can adjust and tweak it. So those things makes it super powerful. It provides an enterprise-grade security and collaboration. It's used across various industries. The major one I found out the other day, Morgan State University uses this, and every student on the campus has a dashboard that shows all of their data in terms of courses, course graduation, requests for this, and all of that. So these institutions where security is a significant part of what they do, military is using it. So you can research that, and I'll probably post a link to Smartsheet's security features. Um, it eliminates information silo by centralizing information in a single platform. And again, in using a Smartsheet, you won't necessarily start here because your the way you use it will be for what you are doing until it grows around you. It supports role-based assets for different team members. So in your particular role, you can utilize Smartsheet to manage your workflow, even if you're in an environment where they're using other tools, even if just the dashboard to organize information. And we're going to walk through other examples of that. So let's continue. Um, this icon here is one that I want to reference, and I'm going to reference it consistently. We all at some point would have played with these building blocks. The building blocks are of different shapes. We have some squares, we have some rectangles, we have some 4x2s, we have some 3x2s. Uh, they're all different shapes, and here you have even a wider variety where you have some unique shapes that can effectively be put together. A part of moving away from the regular geometric shape is to get to other shapes that you can put together to build things. And here we are grabbing a couple of those and putting them together to build. So here we have a little thing that looks like a step. Here we have something that looks like a T. Here we have just something that looks like a ramp. But using the same fundamental building blocks, we have something here that starts to shape like a truck. It has wheels, it has a driver, it has a little hood over the driver, it has a collection area at the back. This is an arch. You can see the castle, and if you examine any of these, you know that it's built from components. These blocks are sort of just the components that we use. And I like to show these images and get your understanding of the way the tool is, so that we focus on understanding what each building block brings to it. Because if you have this objective in mind, but these are the building blocks you have, if you don't understand the shapes of these and what they do, then you are going to start throwing things together. When you're finished, it's never going to be what you want. And since in the real world, the solutions you need are defined by the problems you have and not by you just creating something out of the blue, you have to be able to create with an end in mind. And we're going to walk through some ways to think through that. But you will not be able to put these solutions together unless you spend the time understanding the building blocks. That's essentially what I'm trying to show here. And I'm going to use this analogy throughout the course. And it becomes even more complex, where you can get building blocks that looks like train tracks, and you can have a train. You could even have some movement on this. So the sky is the limit, and you become creative with the right shapes and building blocks. You can get even a little playhouse. So we are going to be looking a little bit at some of the components. I want you to understand what the components are, so that you understand where we are headed with this particular course, so that you can feel confident and comfortable with running with it. All right, so let's continue with this. The building blocks of Smartsheet. The fundamental building block is a sheet, which is a grid that has data in it, much like Excel, much like Google Sheets, much like Numbers, in its base, but way different in terms of where it can go with that information. But it starts in a sheet, and sheet, we refer to it as a grid. The same sheet can be viewed in different ways. And sometimes they will tell you that there's a timeline and a Gantt view and a board view, all of which are just different views of a sheet, a grid of data. And that's where Smartsheet starts to separate itself from just being a grid that has information in an array. We have rows and columns of information. So that's one building block. Another building block is what we call a dashboard, which is it just presents key information in a sort of live chart, and you can have metrics, you can have links to whatever digital information exists. That's what a dashboard really is. Another building block component of Smartsheet is forms, which is it's a streamlined way to take in information to push into a sheet. How do you get this data in the sheet that the team needs, the data that you need, the data that is being assessed, the data that is being considered for driving activities? Um, you can get it in several ways, and one way is to have a form where you have end users. And again, the beauty of this is that end users do not need to be Smartsheet users, but they can push information to you in a form, and a form is a significant and important one of the building blocks that we're gonna be leaning on. Reports is another building block, super important. It summarizes information. Remember, we said that sheets are the core space where information lives. Report is looking into sheets and pulling out exactly what you want and nothing else. So it's giving you a very focused look. One of the powers about reports is its ability to look at multiple sheets, and also its ability to update the sheets and be updated by the sheet. So the bi-directional capability of reports is significant. We spoke about timeline, Gantt, and board being really uh, sheets that have different views. And they're called out separately because their functionalities are so different and unique. So we tend to call them out independently. So moving right along, uh, we spoke about grid and timeline, and I think I probably went through this. Board is just a different view. The board view is pretty popular if you've ever done anything they call a Kanban board. And we're going to walk through that when we go to look at project schedule. Gantt chart, again, you would have seen Gantt chart, and you're going to learn how simple it is to produce these, how to utilize them, how to modify them. Forms, reports, dashboards. And then here now we have a basic sort of where will we go with this. So if I were to walk you through this design, we have a basic form request. So you send a link and people fill in this form and they tell you what they want. So if we need to add another water cooler to the warehouse, or we need to add another whatever it is that is being requested, or we have another project that we need to add to our portfolio, and they are sending you the basic information on it. So that request form starts with the user. It comes into some sort of sheet or sheets, into a tracker sheet. And you have this little bell here just to show you that you have the ability to have automation that tells you when there is information coming in. You don't have to go opening the door and looking at it every day. You can get those things set up automatically. And from those sheets, you can create sheets that are looking at those and creating metrics. So one of the most fundamental things with this is like an issues log, where you're managing a process, and you want the users of the process to be able to tell you what's going wrong and why and where. And that information can come in a request form into a tracker sheet, and then you can create metric sheets to look at it. So like this location has so many issues per week. This machine breaks down so often per week. So the metric allows you to start not just having the data, but looking at the data and summarizing it to inform action, and action that is precise and driven by the reality of what exists. Request reports, in other words, you can look at what's being requested, who is requesting it, when they requested it. I did a solution for a company the other day where they were needing to change signs in their operation. They had hundreds of signs and multiple departments requesting signs and changing this, and you had need approval and all of that. So you would have the users enter the request. It goes in a sheet. You have an ability to see who requested what, when it was requested, and then all of this information here can go to a management status dashboard for you to look at it to say, hey, we have X amount of requests that are still submitted, haven't been assigned. We have X amount that have been assigned and are in the process of being completed, and we have completed 25 for the last 2 weeks, and you can have that historical data to see trends and everything. So this is a solution that's giving you a little bit of a taste on the building blocks. You notice in the solution I mentioned dashboard, I mentioned sheets with summaries, I mentioned automation where you're getting pinged and told that this is happening. I mentioned reports, I mentioned a request form that feeds into a sheet. So it's important that you start to become comfortable with this, because this is how you're going to be able to envision solution driven by your specific challenge. It's not, yes, we're going to talk about templates, and templates are great for the run of the mill things, but when you want to tailor make a solution, or even if you want to start with a template and modify it to fit your particular situation, dashboards again is a part of this. So the essence of it is we want to be able to just look at this, and let's look at a couple quick examples. This is the information that they give on the system requirements, but I'm going to start with just a high level, very basic application here. If you look at this, this is my daughter and I created this, and she uses it to track. If she would go to a restaurant where the restaurant is, she's ranking the burger. She's a burger connoisseur, she would say. On the taste, the wellness, the appearance, the dependence on fries, dependence on ketchup, and so on. It tracks exactly when it was entered without any effort or without the user saying it. And we eventually set it up so you had to put a picture of said burger on it. So the picture is embedded here, and you can see this yummy looking, oh well, if you're a burger guy. But it's a basic solution that starts with a form, and this is the form. So you would open this form, you could share this form, and you're clicking in your name, put in the restaurant, state, and just checking these bubbles. So this process takes about a minute if you're fiddling around, and probably less. So it's super easy to get the information, and the information comes in and is pushed here, and there's an automation that pushes an email to her so she sees what the total score is. And it's just a fun thing. It was a fun way to introduce her to the tool, for her to utilize it. So if you have kids and you want them to sort of start using these tools and understanding the thinking, but doing it with around something that is exciting for them. So that's the grab. Then this came out of it, and I'm pretty proud of this as a start. Jumping into more complex business type solutions, we're going to eventually look at this dashboard here that allows you to put your icon, your logo on it. It allows you to put your theme. So when you look at this, you think the Smarter Manager logo and icon and sort of look and feel. And here what we have is a bunch of input sheets. You'll eventually learn these icons to know what is what. And immediately you're looking at summaries. You're looking at how many are awaiting approval from which level managers, right? How many are closed and all of that. So this is a dashboard that's coming from a portfolio or a workspace that has various sheets, it has a dashboard, it has a couple reports, and these icons you will learn them super soon because you're gonna start using them a lot. The sheet is the blue one, the dashboard is the one with the pie chart because it has reports, and the report is the spiral notebook that's there. So again, this is the intro to what the tool is all about, the fundamentals of the tool, and I want to encourage you to just get into these tools, invest the time in learning the building blocks. Because if you learn the building blocks and master the building blocks and understand how to put them together, then there will be no challenge that you can't apply it to. Right? So you want to invest the time here. So thanks for being here, and we will see you in the next lesson.